Good afternoon from Pakistan, and good morning and good evening from for those participants who are joining me from different time zones. So this is Muhammad Kashif, and let me just welcome you all in our 13th free webinar. And this time we have taken the topic of Python for finance professionals. And just a few housekeeping rules. Um, we will have a formal question and answer session at the end of the session. So we will have a formal question and answer session at the end of the session. And there are two ways. The first one is you can note down your questions, and we will request you to mute your mic. We will allow you to ask your questions at the end of the session. And the second is you can write your questions in the comments. We will note down all the questions, and we will answer all the questions in the last. We will have a formal 15 to 20 minutes of session. And there's one request to keep your mics mute during the session. Thank you. And let me move to the next one. So a brief introduction of myself. I'm Muhammad Kashif. I'm a member of Institute of Cost Management, Parts of Pakistan. Worked for 17 years in different fields which are attached to finance, and I'm also a founder of Kaizen Analytics LLP. We work in mainly in emerging technologies in BI, Python, blockchain, IoTs, which are linked to the businesses and to increase their productivity. We do not only provide capacity building services, but we also provide project implementation for data-driven decision making. But the show is about an amazing tool and an amazing professional as well. So let me introduce our expert, Mr. Kashif Nas. He's a fellow member of ACCA and has an extensive experience and has a unique set of experience and skills, because if you note, he is an expert in SQL and Python, and you won't find most of the professionals, especially finance professionals in this field, who has an expert level expertise in both of the tools. And these tools are quite amazing. So he has more than 17 years experience in relevant to finance, and he not only works in Python and SQL, but he has some amazing projects with other elements of data science. Financial management, definitely he's a finance professional, so he has an extensive experience in finance, but ERP implementation and upgradation is also one of the key expertise which he holds. So now the stage is over to Mr. Kashif Nas, and I will request him to please take the stage and take all the professionals and along with me how Python is kind of a beneficial for finance professionals, right? So I'll give the stage to Mr. Kashif Nas. So let me make, I will make you the host, okay?
No. What is Python? Python is an interpreted high-level general-purpose programming language. What is meant by general-purpose programming language? The general-purpose programming what is interpreter? Let me first clarify it. Interpreter is a program that directly executes instruction without compiling the program into machine language code. So, and it is a high-level general-purpose programming language. High-level means a language that is user-oriented, and it has been designed to make it straightforward for a programmer to convert an algorithm or logic into program code easily. And what is meant by general purpose? Python is evolved as a general purpose programming. It is not for the data science. It is earlier used as a scripting language, and later it has evolved as a general purpose programming language, which have many applications and many applications in different domains, which I'll show you in the upcoming slides. Python is a dynamic type language. Dynamic type language means where the interpreter assign variable at assign a variable a type at runtime based on variable value. It means that the interpreter is smart enough that it will assign the value when you are giving the variable a value. In the static type languages, you have to define the variable, you have to define the data type in order to operate, in order to assign a value a variable, in order to assign a value to the variable. Third one is the automated garbage collection. It is the most important feature of the Python language because what automated garbage collection done, it is a program which releases memory when the object is no longer in use. It means that Python has included an algorithm to deallocate objects which are no longer needed. It means that it has an algorithm that analyzes whether the data frame is using, whether the variables assigned are using in the program or not, and on that analysis it will dispose of the variables to deallocate the memory so that the computer has a free memory in the in order to run the program. Support multiple programming paradigm, including imperative, functional, procedural, and object-oriented. Python is a multi-purpose language, and Python has a multiple programming paradigm. It means that it follows different style of codings, which means
dear Kashif, please can you make me the host, because then I can make you the co-host. There are certain professionals who are trying to come in, so can you make me the host and I'll make you the co-host. Sorry for the introduction. Okay, so then I'll control the things, right? So you can make me a co-host.
So I will share my screen.
No, there is, you can go in where my name is appearing. So there will be 3 buttons will appear at the top right, and you can click and you can make me the host.
Make host.
Okay, you made me host. Okay, great. So what I'll do, I'll make you the, and yes. So yes, you can now proceed, please.
Now, what is imperative paradigm programming? Imperative programming paradigm executes job in a step-by-step manner, just like a series of verbal commands. What are given in the programming steps? It follows the hierarchy and it executes first instruction, then it go to the next instruction. This is called the imperative programming. Functional programming means it is a paradigm where programs are constructed by applying and composing functions. Basically, you have to write a function for that, and you have to give instructions in that function, and later when the function execute, it will execute as it says in the function, step by step in that series. What is the and the third one is the procedural programming, derived from basically procedural programming paradigm derived from imperative programming based on concept of procedure calls. And what is object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming basically is a paradigm where the concept of objects which can contain data and code, data in the form of fields, often known as attributes and properties, and code in the form of procedure, often known as methods. And this is one of the main highlights of the Python language, because Python, when you do advanced coding, when you do advanced Python, the object-oriented programming will help you to reuse the code without writing any other code in the form of procedures or in the form of functions. It is created by Guido van Rossum in 1980s as a teaching language and to bridge the gap between shell and C programming. Shell is the Unix programming interface where the scripting is involved, and the C is the programming language which whether because C is the high level programming, but it involves the low. It involves assigning each and every variable at the time of execution before the time of execution to run the program. Python was first released on 20th February 1991. That is, it is now 31 years old. Now I'll go to my next slide. Why Python? Python is easy to learn. Python is very easy to learn because if you come across with the Python, you see that it is an English language which is composed of spacing and the commands which can easily be interpreted by an individual, so that it is that's why it is also popular in the non-programmers. That's why they are it is easy to learn, and the syntax is very easy, and there is only 32 to 40 reserved words in the Python which allow you to which will not be used as a variable. Mature and supportive Python community. It has been for 31 years, and it has in its uh, and its community has been grown with an extensive speed. You can see that that the number of questions that has been raised in the Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is a community of programmers on where the programmers share their knowledge, share their code, or share their problems. When Mr. Kashif, can you hello, Kashif?
No, let me just remove that one from Mr. Dev was doing it. So yes, it is removed. Thank you, Mr. Dev, please.
Okay. It has a very supportive community, and it has almost a lot of questions that has been come into your mind has already been asked and answered at the Stack Overflow, which I'll show you in the form of links. Support from renowned corporate sponsors. Basically, the term is used at FANG. FANG is Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google. They have invested a lot in the Python, and they have produced their one of the kind packages and has been released to the general public to use. The one that is Facebook has released is the Profit Library, which is an amazing time series analysis library. Fastest growing programming language. TIOBS B is the index where the language has been rated according to the user effectiveness, user it means it how much easy to learn, how the package available, how is the support available, and in 2021 it will be rated as the language of the year. There are, since Python is for 31 years, hundreds of open source Python libraries and frameworks are available to use. If you stuck in any framework and there's a limitation, there's always another framework available to use to cater that problem, to handle that problem. And it is a cross-platform, means that it can be used in Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. What are the application domains of Python? Python is used in the web development. Python is used in the testing of the websites. Python is used for the web scraping. Python is also used for the data analysis, which we do in the web scraping and data analysis, which will be do in our later slides, and we will do it practically as well. And it is also used in the computer graphics. And Python is the, Python, what I say that Python is the main source of the machine learning. Basically, almost I have seen all the packages that have released related to the machine learning. Almost all of them are for the Python, and it has also a big footprint in the big data industry, because it has amazing libraries that can be used in the big data analysis, and it is also used in the Internet of Things. Top companies that are using Python, these are the most of the companies. These are the most popular companies that are using Python as a programming in any of their domain. Like Netflix is the movie vendor, and JP Morgan is the bank, NASA is the space industry, YouTube is the social media, and a lot of that. And Google is also using Python as a programming language in their workflows as well. How did Python become a powerhouse? In the 90s, when the Python was released, it was called the scripting era. At that time, the Python motto of the Python was to use as an alternative to Bash. Bash is a scripting language used in the Unix and Linux to automate scripts, to automate any tasks, to automate any services, any networking abilities. So there is, at that era, there was a program called SWIG, Simplified Wrapper Interface Generator, is introduced. It is a software development tool that connects programs written in C and C++ with a variety of high-level programming. Basically, it bridges the gap between the low-level and the high-level languages. So it is used in different types of target languages, including common scripting languages such as JavaScript, Perl, PHP, Python, TCL, and Ruby. Then comes the era of 2000, the sci-fi era. At that time, there are only a handful of the softwares available. That is R programming language, MATLAB, and SSPS. These are the programs that are available for the scientific computer, and the people are dependent on that. And MATLAB is by far the MATLAB is also the hello. And MATLAB is one of the emerging and popular tool at that time for scientific analysis and for scientific computations. At that time, the Numpy in 1995, the numeric as released as a scientific computation tool for the Python, and as in 2008, it was rebranded as a Numpy in 2006. Basically, Python, as I told you earlier, it is not a language for the data science. It is a simple general purpose programming language, but this tool, Numpy, gives the ability to do the vector calculation and vectorized calculation and matrices calculation in the Python. And what is SciPy? SciPy is a collection of algorithms and tools that made the statistics easy, and it was introduced in 2000. IPY is a notebook interface that was introduced in 2001 for procedure for the learning purposes and for the learning purposes. And it was now rebranded as a Jupyter notebook, and we will be using it in our later slides as well. Matplotlib. Matplotlib is a graphing library. It was heavily inspired by the MATLAB, and the creator has also copied, has taken almost all the concept from the MATLAB and transformed in the Python graphing library in the form of Matplotlib. It was introduced in later 2002, which gives the Python the graphic capability, and we will also later see that graphing library in our practical. Sorry?
Please go ahead, Mr. Kashyap, please go ahead.
Okay. Then comes the PyData era in 2010. The motto of that era is Python to be used as an alternative to R. The key development software that was introduced in that era is the Pandas library, which is a label data library and the data analysis library. And the second one is the machine learning library, which is called scikit-learn. Third one is the Conda. Conda, basically, Python is very difficult to install, and they are when you are installing a library, there are also dependencies involved, and there's not a package manager at that time. So the Conda is introduced as a package manager which identify and manage all the related package dependencies, so that the program will not crash and program will be in the working order. IPY notebooks in the 2015 environment, and Jupyter is introduced in the 2015 with multi-language support. Basically, Jupyter is now supporting Python, Julia, R, Scala, and many others. You can say that the Python can be used as a Swift knife tool. Basically, it has almost every library available in every domain that can be used in that to achieve every purpose. Now, Python for big data analysis. Basically, the main library is the Pandas library, which gives the ability to the Python to work in the data frames and the series, which we will see in our later session. And almost all the big data library, that is DAS, Modern, VAX, and PolarRS, are inspired and almost follow the same API that Panda is having. PySpark, basically Apache Spark is a project where the multi-language support for executing data engineering, data science, machine learning, or single node machines or clusters are given. Basically, PySpark has given the ability to operate the Spark clusters within the Python environment. This is our Python data science stack we'll be using, which is called the Python data science stack, because for the data structures we use Numpy, Pandas. For our data analysis and visualization, we use the most important, the most popular one are the Matplotlib, Plotly, and Bokeh. Plotly and Bokeh are the interactive graphing library, and the Matplotlib is the static library. The third one is for the statistics. Statistics, we use two libraries called StatsModel and SciPy. These are given the statistics abilities to the Python. And the machine learning, for the machine learning, there are Keras, TensorFlow, and scikit-learn as well. There are and also the PyTorch. PyTorch is the latest framework, which has now be using in the machine learning projects. This is a Jupyter notebook. We will be using the Anaconda and Jupyter notebook, and this is also the Spider, which can be installed with the Anaconda. And Python and Spider is the ID which has unique abilities. So I'll be sharing. Let me see if I If I have time, I will show you the Spider as well. Now, how can we install Anaconda? We will be using the Anaconda package. We will use, basically this is the p configure package for the data science, and this is and I'll recommend it for the beginners to install that Anaconda package. Anaconda package comes in two flavor, Anaconda and Miniconda. Miniconda is just a package manager with the Python installed, but I recommend that you will use Anaconda. You use Anaconda for the safer side. This is the Anaconda website. When you go to the Anaconda websites and the products and individual edition, you will see that the download option. Download that package. Then after clicking the setup, you will straightforward next to complete the installation. When the installation is completed, you will see a Panda navigator in the apps, in the Windows apps. This is the Anaconda navigator. This is the Anaconda navigator, which includes all the tools, that is Jupyter notebooks, Jupyter Lab, PowerShell, and IPY notebook, Spider, VS Code, and the other as well. They are very basically, what is integrated development environment? Integrated development environment is a software suite that consolidates basic tools required to write and test software. PyCharm is a full-fledged IDE used for the Python development. VS Code is a text editor, but there are tools, but there are packages there that can transform that VS Code into a full-fledged IDE. Sublime Text is also a very good text editor, and Spider is a IDE used for the scientific computation, and Atom is also a IDE, and Jupyter Notebook is the notebook interface which we'll be using. In that interface, we will be using Jupyter Notebook and VS Code in our practical session. Now Jupyter Notebook. Now let's come to the practical session. I'll be sharing my screen for the practical side. This is the Anaconda editor which I'm talking about. When I clicked it, it will open in that window, and here that you can launch the Jupyter Notebook. But Jupyter Notebook, it depends on the environment. It depends on the path where it is installed, and I have files in my specific folder as well. So I'm launching Jupyter Notebook from that address. Now, this is the Jupyter. This is the interface of the Jupyter Notebook. If you want to create a Jupyter Notebook, you just click the Python 3 kernel, and here you write your first program. Hello Python. Control Enter, Shift Enter, and that is the output of your program. So you can start a notebook from the Conda navigator as well, and on your command prompt type Jupyter Notebook, and that's how I write it. And that's how I write it, and that has opened the terminal for the interface for the Jupyter Notebook. This is what if you want to create a Jupyter Notebook, you can click the new and then hyphen n. You can. This is your first program. Now, what is Panda? Panda is a Python library to deal with sequential and tabular data. It includes many tools to manage, analyze, and manipulate data in a convenient and efficient manner. We can think of its data structure as akin to database tables or spreadsheet. Panda is a built on top of Numpy. I've told you before that the Numpy Panda is based on the Numpy and has two primary data structure, that is series, one-dimensional, and 2D frame, and the data frame, that is two-dimensional. It can handle both homogeneous and heterogeneous data. Basically, the Panda data frame has two main component, that is, which is called the index. Index is called the row. Index are the rows, and the column. And the column index, it means that the columns of the data frame. Basically, what is data frame? Data frame is a collection of series of data which is combined together to form a data frame. And there are data types in the Pandas. Panda has a different data types other than the Python. That is object type, which is the string type, string or mixed type. Integer 64 is the integer type. Float 64, Boolean true and false, date, time delta, and categories. Python provides a data frame object which is like a NumPy array but has labeled rows and columns. Import Pandas. Before we import our data frame, we import our library in the form. In that form, import Panda SPD. You can give any mnemonic to that. You can also say that Pandas. So after that, you have to replace that Pandas, and there's a there's a method called data frame, and in that data frame you will put that data and that print data which will output that data as well. Okay, now the practical side of the Pandas. This is the notebook, Jupyter notebook interface, and I'm running that cell by clicking Shift Enter. Now I'm importing the Pandas and NumPy library. I'm importing the settings for the columns, rows, and the float format. Now we are reading a dataset called Ebola. This dataset I have extracted from the GitHub library, which is this is the link of the library. This is the link of the repository where I have taken that link, and after clicking that, the dataset is downloaded, and head method provide you the first 5 rows of the data structure, of the data frame. In the same manner, if you execute the tail method, it will provide the last 5 rows of the data sets. If you want to see, let's say, 10 rows for the first row, 10 rows from the first 10 rows from the data frame, you can give the variable to that, and the first 10 rows will be shown in the manner. There are basic statistics. When we came across with the data set, we will see what are the statistics of the data frame. To understand the data, there's a shape method called this. This will give you that the first one is the rows and the second one is the columns. Ebola site had 122 rows and 18 columns. There's a method called info, which will provide you the summary of the data frame, and the number of observation and the data types. let's this is there are 122 entries, that is 122 lines are there, 122 rows are there, and you will see that the date column has 122 rows, non-null rows. There is no missing value in the date and day column, and the data type is object, that means string format and the integer format, and all other uh, columns have different values, non-null values. It means there are missing values as well. Panda is a Panda has a describe method. Has a describe method which will provide you the basic statistics of the data frame. That means the day column has 122 count. Its mean is 144.78, and the standard deviation is 0.32. The minimum value of that column is 0, and 25 percentile value of is 66.25. 50th percentile value of is 150, and the 75% value is 119.5, and the maximum value is 289. If you want to move that data frame in the transpose, there is also a method called .t. This will convert that data frame into wide long format so that you can analyze in a better ways. Partner data frame has a method called count method. It will provide you the number of counts of the observation, which is similar to that of info method and that area. Now, there is also an alternate method to see what are the non-null values in the data frame, and that method is not NA and the sum. Missing values. As you see that there are missing values in that column, and we want to know how many missing values are there in that columns. So we can give that method is NA with the sum method. This will give you the number of observations that are missing in our data set. That is date, as I told you earlier, date and day column has no missing observation. Because the data frame has missing value, if you want to fill that missing value with, let's say, any specific value, let's say any specific value. In that case, I'm replacing all the non values with the 0. So that will replace all the non-null values which we have seen earlier with 0. And when you perform that analysis on the fill NA method, you will see that there is no missing values as well. Now I'm going to show you there are different methods to fill the missing values. I've taken first 20 rows of the data frame of the Ebola data frame, and you are seeing that this is the null value, and this is also null value. There is a method called fill NA, and there's a parameter called ffill method. Ffill method is called the forward fill method. Forward fill method, what it does that it take the 287 value and replaces it with the 286 value. Let me show you this. See, 2769, the null value is replaced by 2769. This is called the forward fill method. And what is the backfill method? Backfill method will replace that after null value, and that is 2730 with 286. Let me show you this. this one. It has replaced 284 value in 286 column. 284 in 286 column. Okay. There is also a method called interpolate method, which also uses the algorithm method to fill the value, and that is the interpolate method has filled the value 2730, basically 2449, and this is, I think, is the average of the above two observations. Interpolate has different method as well. There, the default method is linear, and there's other methods that can be seen in the documentation, in the Panda documentation. These are the methods that are available for filling the values: linear method, time method, index values, pad, non-zero, linear. These are all the statistical method that can be used in filling the data. That is out of our scope, so we are not discussing that. Now we have also seen that there is also when we analyze that there is no other option available to fill the value, because all the methods have some limitation to fill the method. That is, when we applied for fill method, because there is no values for these observation, that is why these are not filled backward. These are not filled forward. So there's a method called drop NA method, in which we drop rows where the missing values are not representative of the data set, or we are not going to calculate the missing value of that data set from that observation on any parameters. So there's a method called drop NA, in which there is a how parameter, how take two parameters, that is all and any. All method is used when you apply that. There's also 122 rows. Basically, what all method does, if there is no observation in any row, it will drop that line only. As we have seen that the date and day column all have values, so all method have not dropped any of the line. When I convert that method into any method, you will see that there is only one line in the data set that has all the observation, and the Panda has deleted all other rows. So you can use that method as per your need arises. Now we are using a different data set called Billboard dataset. Billboard dataset is a wide dataset, and that is also hosted on the GitHub repository, and this is a link of that repository. I'm going to execute that cell, and the Billboard data has been populated in my data frame. We'll see that it has It has 317 entries, and there are 83 columns to that data frame. This is called the wide data frame, and problem with the wide data frame that it is not easier to work with the wide data frame. So we have to convert that data frame, because we have to tidy our data in order to do an analysis on that data frame. So there is a method called melt method, and you have seen that there are two date parameters: date entered and date peaked. Date entered and date peaked, literally they are they show that they are date, but Panda reads them as the str value. So you cannot perform analysis to the date time index, date time functions. You cannot put that date time functions on that columns, because these are the str methods, so that we can convert that two columns in the date in the pandas data date time format. We can just simply take that column, and there's a method called toDateTime method. ToDateTime method will convert the string into datetime format, and when I click that, and after that, when I see that these two columns has been converted into datetime format, simple as that. There's only 1 to 2 commands and simple procedures to convert the data types of the data frame. Now, what we are using, what we are going to do in that in our wide data frame, where we are converting that wide format data frame into a long format data frame. That is, we are converting the we are making that column intact, and the remaining two columns, the weak column and the rating column, we are converting into a long data frame. So the match method will convert the weeks and rating column into long data frame. Initially, it has 317 rows. Now it has 24,092 rows and 9 columns. Later, it has 83 columns. Now we are using a different data set called the sales data set. It is stored in my laptop, and we are calling that data set into our data frame. And this is the data frame. This look like, and this is the first 5 observation of our data frame. It has 9,994 rows and 21 columns. We can perform a different functions, different methods in the pandas in order for the data wrangling and data merging tasks. For that, I'm also importing a different data frame called zip income, and this has 32,526 rows and 18 column, and this is the zip code information that is available in our previous data set in the form of postal code, and we are going to look up that column or look up that value and concatenating that value in our previous data frame. That is, we are performing the VLOOKUP function just like the VLOOKUP function in Excel. Okay. First, as you've seen that there we have to analyze our data frame that if because for the VLOOKUP you need a single value, you need a lookup table that is free from duplicate values, because if we free from because what Panda does is take that all the values and combine that in the original data frame, which is not the case, because we are only restricted by 9,994 rows, and we have to combine that two columns or one column in our data set in the right. So what we do that we first see whether there is only where there are duplicate values in the data frame, and we have taken that example that 42420 is a zip code, and there are 4 observations appearing in that zip code. So we can also filter by taking two condition as well, like zip code we are using 42420, and by the country we are using Adair country. When we execute that information, the Panda frame will show only 3 observation. That is, it will skip the Henderson County line as well. It will skip the Henderson County line. Now you'll see that the zip code is unique which is false because there are multiple values, multiple rows, and multiple data is available for the same zip code. So there's a method called drop duplicate method, and we are subsetting the zip code method, and we take only the first value and delete the remaining values as well. And for that we are giving the parameter keep first fall. In phase 2 will modify the data frame as well. So when we do that, when we execute that column, the 32,566 row will come to 14,803 rows. And when we perform that operation, that it is a unique, and we have seen that all duplicate rows has been deleted from that data frame. Now, how can we perform VLOOKUP? There is a merge command in the data frame that takes the different parameters, and what we are doing that the sales we are taking zip column, zip income, and combining that two columns. Combining what mean we are taking that mean column. Let's have median column as well. So in that means in that column, as you know that there is a zip code. The zip code is in our previous data frame. It has the column name of postal code. There are two methods for that. If we change the zip code to postal code, so there's no need to provide the on left and provide the different parameters as well. And like that example is, there is a lookup column where left on and right on. We don't need to provide that. For that, we are renaming the zip code column into postal code. And how we are combining the data frame with left function, because all the join methods are inspired in Pandas from SQL. There are 4 methods available for the join in the SQL. The first one is the inner join, left join, right join, and outer join. So we are giving that command in the postal code, and on what key we are combining, then that is postal code. If we run that, you will see that 2 columns will be added, mean and median, from the zip income data frame to our sales data frame. This is, and we can also export that that data frame into the Excel file, which I am going to and when we execute that transaction, the star is saying that Python is busy. And now what is done, that it has converted the data frame in the Excel format, and you will see that the median and mean columns is added into the data frame. This is the this is and the data frame can easily be imported by giving the two SQL, two CSV or two Excel command for converting that data frame for outputting that data frame from Python to Excel. Now you can perform multiple functions. Okay, what does mean? Okay, the issue is there. Now, what you see that we can calculate minimum and maximum function, minimum maximum of the mean column by giving the aggregate method, by giving two methods, min and max function in that series. We can also perform the condition to satisfy if condition that we perform in the Excel, just like in Excel. So for that, let's see that we are targeting the mean column, and we are saying that when mean column is less than 1 lakh, the variable should be A. Other than that, the variable should be B. And when we execute that command, we will see that there's a column added in the category 1 where the less than 1 lakh are marked as A, and greater than 1 lakh is marked as B. Now you can perform multiple if statements as well, but with the where clause. But Numpy has also given us a new method called select method, which can take as many conditions and what are the choices available to that condition, so that the code looks clean and legible to the user. So if we see that what is the value count, so you will see that the A category has 36,308 observation and B category has 10,058 observations. Now, what is the we are using multiple conditions as well. In that we are saying that less than 50,000, we will be assigning the variable A. From 50,000 to 1 lakh, we'll be assigning variable B. From 1 lakh to 150,000, we'll assign C, and as well as and same as D. So what will we do? We'll execute that column, and what we see that np.select, these is what the parameters are given. It required condition list. These are the condition list, and what are the choices available, and these are the choices available. And what is if the condition is not met, what will be the value of what will be the default value, and we will be giving the default value. If the condition is not met, we will giving the default value of A. So when we execute that, you will see that the column category 2 column will be added, and you will see that the 58,000 is marked as B, because because the range of B is 50,000 to 1 lakh. And now we are value counting all the category 2. Basically, what is this? It is the unique count method. What are the observations available, and what are the variables, and what are the observation availables. So B has 19,493 observations, A has 16,918 observations, C is 9047, and D is 908. which was from 150 to 2 lakh. Now there is a function, there is a group by methods available in our Panda data frames, just like the pivot table in the Excel. So how can we perform our grouping function in the Pandas data frame? We will taking the sales data set, and we are using category column, that is that column. We will using that column to aggregate our observations. So you will see that the Panda will convert the categories and show that observations. So what are the keys available in the data frame? That is furniture, office supplies, and technology. And these are the groups available. And that as office supplies has 29,868, 50 observations, and furniture has these and this. Now we can subset because we can subset furniture category and some of we can subset some furniture category, and let's look at what is the sale value of that column. So the furniture is 33,700. It is 3.3 million is the sale of the furniture. And what is now we are grouped by category, and we'll see that the furniture has 3,370. The total sales by category is that. Now we are including a subcategory as well in the group by column. We are giving another category called subcategory, and we are aggregating sales on that categories. So what is included, what is given is that this is just like the pivot table, where you see that the category is combined with the subcategories giving the aggregated function, that is sum. This is the sum of the sales categories by category and subcategory. Now we are also including region in our column. So when we execute that column, this will provide you the region as well. That is furniture, book classes, and there are 4 regions: central, east, south. And what are the sales figures of that column? What are the office supplies, appliances, and what are the regions and what are the sales available to that column? As you see, there's that this is a multi-index data frame. We can subset this by passing a command called descent index. This will convert the observations in the form of data frame. Now, how about we can convert that region in the long format to the wide format? This can be achieved by a method called unstack method, and this method will convert in the long format into the wide format. So you can see that the sales now central region is now on the column side, and you can analyze better way than the previous one. So you have to scroll a lot. Now, how about we can convert the subcategory into the long format? We can do this by substack function by giving the column parameters, that is -1, -2. So you'll see that the bookcases are showing region wise, chairs are showing region wise, furnitures are showing region wise, and So the other categories as well. There's also a pivot table method in the Pandas, which what has been achieved in the group by can also be achieved in the with the pivot table, but with the margins. Margin is what is margin? Margins are the totals, and as you are seeing that there are no total, no subtotals for the columns. Total grand total for the column. So this can be handled with the pivot table. This can be handled with a pivot table. These are the parameters for the pivot table as well. What we are doing that we are taking the value of sales. What category which will be from what is the index? Index means what are the categories that we have to show in the column, in the index, in the rows, and what are the columns available, and how we can what are the values that you want to see in the column, and we have to provide the aggregation function. Aggregation function can be sum, mean, median, whatever it is. So as you see that this will show exactly the same result as shown that above, that is group by method. Okay, now we are adding subtotal to that column and grand total to that column by using parameters margin and margin total. And if there is any non-nan value, we will be filling with the zero method, with the zero. So it will give you the grand total. This is the total sales, and the margin value. If I so it will change the total value for that. Now we are using as we have seen that we want to convert region into our column side. So we just have to take that region column in the column side, and the above and the remaining will remain the same. That method will provide me the cell for the year from for the rows and the columns, exactly the same as we have achieved with the group by method, but there is no total for that. Okay, now how about if we convert that category from the rows to the columns? So we have taken the subcategory to the column side, and when we execute that, you will see that the central and accessories is given that is transformed in the white column form, and that is the total of the sales by category, and that is the for each and centralized total on accessories by total of that category. Now this is the introduction of our pandas. Now we are moving towards data visualization. How can we perform data visualization in Python? There are three libraries we are using, that is Matplotlib, Seaborn, and Plotly. The Matplotlib is a static library, and we are using that. because it is the first library that was introduced in the Python data frame, Python graphical library framework. So this is the first what we are saying, that we are using two function and psine and pcosine and transform that values into the graph. We can change the markers as well. We can change, that is, if we put D in the color green, the marker will have to change into the diamond and the green line. This is the stack bar chart example in the Matplotlib. That is woman and man and the stack bar chart. This is the group bar charts with label. Okay. This is the group bar chart that is available. A simple category heat map. This is the heat map we can create from the observations, and the box plots. This is the box plot that we can create from the Matplotlib library. I'm giving you this is the main page of the Matplotlib library, where you can see the plot types that are available in that library, that is plots, scatter plots, bar plots, items, stem plots, and the plot of arrays, different types of statistical plot, histogram, error bars, Weiland plots, number of plots that you can make from the Matplotlib library. Now we are going to use a different library called Seaborn library. Seaborn is the subset of the, let's say, subset of the Matplotlib, because it is based on top of Matplotlib. It is based on Matplotlib, and the reason for that is it has given the concise syntax to prepare the visualization. As you can see, just the 2 line of code will give you that information. This is the Penguin word. There's a Penguin data set that is built in the Seaborn library, and this is the example of the pair plots about the species of the penguins. There are 3 species: Headlane, Chinstrap, and Gento. And what are the distribution of that distribution and frequency of that penguins. We can also create the scatter plots, that is categorical scatter plots. This will provide the information that is the kind of SOM plot, and we can also provide with the hue, and we can compare male and female in the SOM plot. What is the value and what is the dominant one? Now, we can also prepare the box plot with that. These are the blocks. This is the box plot example, and we can also include the hue to differentiate between the smoker and non-smoker. We can create Weiland plots with that, and that is male, female, and these are the examples of Weiland plots showing multiple relationship with facets. We can create line by line comparatively, and we can compare what are the frequency of the smokers that are available at lunchtime and the dinner time. We can also perform regression analysis with the help of SNS library. That is, these are the observations. That is, it is a straight line, that is linear regression, which provide information that what are the main observations lie, and how many observations are lie at that line. This is the other example. This is another example with the change in the palette and colors and markers 0 and X. And this is the male, and these are the two plots. We are comparing this male time lunch and male time dinner and female time lunch, and what are the observations, how many males are giving tip for the female employees, and how many tips how many male are giving tips to the female employees. There is another graphing library called Plotly, which is an interactive library. So I'm going to show you some examples of that. And that is the line chart. Now, this is the line chart here, and you can see that when I'm hover over the line, the values are changing, and we can also skip different lines when we performing different analysis. Let's say we are performing that line with the data analysis, so we can plus and minus all the observations to that. The second one is the best fit line that we have achieved on the number of observation for the data points. Now, what is scatter? We can create scatter plots with that. These are the scatter plots with different markers style, and we can also do that as well. And we can also do that as well. We can zoom out and zoom in all the observation in order to analyze that. Now the spread chart. This is the spread chart where the returns is showing with that corresponding figures. The bar charts, we can create bar charts with that. Actually, these are a lot of observation, so we can enhance, zoom in and zoom out in that observation. And if you want that value to be off, we can also remove some values as well. The box plot example. This is the box plot example. The bubble chart. This is the bubble chart, that what can the Plotly do with the visualization. And this is the scatter 3D diagram. Now we are closing our data visualization topic, and we are now moving towards the time series. How can we perform time series analysis? The library we are using is called the Finance library. It is the Yahoo Finance library where we are scraping data from the tickers. We are taking data for the Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. Now the data has been loaded. Now we are using the Apple ticker, and this is the 253 observations. For that, we can perform the same analytics as I've described earlier. The described statistic will show you that if you want to transform that into the column form, You can see that now we can create plots with that. This is the line chart plot with the Apple ticker. Now we are uh, taking two values, adjusted column, and we are showing two graphs in the same column. Now we can create the density plot, how the values are look like, and you can just it's skewed towards the left. That means it is a Poisson distribution, and we can create box plot with that. These are the outliers value that are not representative by the data set. That is something strange events have been happened in these observations. Now we are using a library called MPL Finance Library, which provide the candlestick charts, and this is the candlestick chart for the Apple share. Now we are adding moving average of 7-day and 14 in our candle chart, and as you see, and the volume as well. This is the volume. This is the volume graph, and this is the 7-day and 14-day. 14-day will be the smoother one. So you can perform that analysis, especially the quant guys who are using the who are taking decisions on the basis of candlestick charts, and they are using different softwares as well. That is Metastock, I think. Now we are using cufflinks and Plotly to recreate charts for the stock analysis. Now the Apple chart can be look like this. This is the interactive chart. We have created a line graph. For that, we can also fill that value with the fill command. Fill to will cover that area, and these are the line charts of the open, high, close, and low and close. So if you want to analyze, so you can see, you can choose a different window to perform that analysis. And if you want to delete one line, that will be on. Now we are using subplots. We are comparing side by side Apple open, high, close, and low and close values for that, and we can make something appealing by marking, by covering that area with the fill to command, and we can use the quant functions as well. Basically, cufflinks provide different functions. Cufflinks will add different cufflink library have added different functions to that, which is p-generated functions. Like this is the candlestick chart, and if I want to include simple moving average on 10 days and 20 days, this can be achieved through that by adding SMA and that parameters. And if you want to add Bollinger's band, so Bollinger band can be added with the add Bollinger band command, and these will create the upper and lower limit. And if you want to include the volume, we can include volume as well. And this is the volume charts. So these are the examples of time series and that can be performed in Pandas in Python graphing libraries. Now we are seeing a real world scenario where we are assessing the database you have seen somewhere that there is a Microsoft Service Screener, and all the IT guys are using that to intimidate you that we are doing that works, and these are the tables available in, and if you want to query that, these are the, this is the query, and this is the result of that query. Now I have made a real world query. This is a real world query in which I'm using a dataset called AdventureWorks 2017. And I have created a query to uh, gather all the values for the sales figures. So what I'm doing that I'm using that query in the Python Panda to extract information directly in Pandas. So we can use that. We are importing our libraries. We are using SQL Alchemy library, which provides connection to the databases, and this is the database I have created the database on my system. Then this is the query which I have copy and pasted from that SSMS studio, and now we are running that query through SQL read SQL function. Read SQL function will query that particular information with the help of the engine we have created, that is, we have connected to our database. So when we execute that command, this will query from that directly with the data and database and convert that information into Pandas data frame. So you can see that we have added different columns from the different tables. You can also convert that column, export that data frame to the Excel by simply Excel SO data. This will converting the data frame into Excel and exporting that into now. It is converting. I think that is data is been uploading in the file. Okay, the data has been uploaded. Now you can see that we have queried the data frame will now show. Now this is the data frame we have exported from the Pandas query. You can see that it has also converted that dates and other parameters as well. So there's also a feature called you can also directly let's say okay, you have a database and you want to convert, you want to query, you want to ETL that your final output in that database. So we can do that as well by df2 SQL command, and that is we sharing that SO data. Okay, there's a system, there's an error. Let's go forward. This is the info method of the SQL database. Now we are performing some columns. We are adding some column called sales. There's a list price and order quantity. We are multiplying with the order quantity. Then it will provide us a sale. Discount is list price into unit discount price. This will provide us a discount, and the net sales is sales minus discount, and the cost is unit price into order quantity, and the profit is sales minus cost. If we perform that, we can see that 4 columns has been added to that. What is the discount value has been offered? $397,000. What is the product which is performing well? You'll see that the bikes category has been performing. It will generating almost 80% of your profit. How can we sort values with that? We can sort values with in the descending order by giving parameters called sort values, and that is the database and the data frame has been sorted with the values. Now we are performing. Now how can we visualize that data? We can visualize that data by g.iplot kind bar, and this will generate the sales versus net performance of that data. This is the net sales and cost. Now we are performing a spread data, that is bike. Bike has 145 million sales, which is cost is 94 million, and the profit is 49.9 million. This is the spread chart. There are 4 categories in that is component, clothing, and accessories. Now we are taking as bike is the sole and bike is the major contributor to the net sales. We are analyzing the bike's data as well. What are the products and what are the net sales of each item as well. As you see that the Mountain 200 is the successful product of adventure works, and these are the descending wise the sales of the different product values. We can also convert that horizontal chart into longitudinal chart by that with the bar H parameter. Now we are grouping two variables as we done in the previous. So we can perform the group by operation. We can sort sale values, that is the values have been sorted. Now we can also include the date parameter as well. That is, how can we sample data? That is, this is the sale of the 2014 year end, and this is the sale of the 2013 year end, and this is the sale of the 2012 year end. Okay, we can convert that longitudinal in the white format by unstacking that data. So you can see that the net sales can be seen with the profit. So the net sales and the profit can be seen year wise. This is the real world example that can be shown. You can also convert that into column if we provide that with you. So the PD grouper function will convert that information into the quarter. That is, the quarter is this, the quarter is that, the 2011 fourth quarter. This is the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. We can also that view information by monthly. That is, we can analyze sales by monthly. That is May, June, July, August, by giving only a one parameter in the PD grouper function. So that's it for our real world scenario. Now, how can we scrap data from the websites to form our information for the use? So I'm scraping data from the Pakistan Stock Exchange website, and the data I'm scraping is from 1st January 2022 to 20th February 2022. And this is the example. Python is performing a vast scraping function. It will querying that address and converting that compressed zip file in, and reading that zip file and converting that data into the column as well. Now, the data has been scraped and converted that into data frame. We can convert that into Excel file, and that data will convert here as well. The data has been scraped and it has converted, it has fetched 22,000 observations from the internet, from the PSX website for the different symbols. Now, if you want specific symbols data, we can also do this by giving an item, the tickers in the list. So the same function as above is being applied, but with the iteration of on tickers as well. The data is reading by the Pandas. Okay, the data has been fetched and we can convert that data frame into Excel, and that is the selected data. And we have seen that only 4 symbols are there, and for which data has been fetched from January till 20th February. This is the scrapping example as how you can fetch data from the websites. Now there is an example I want to show you, which is called, which I've created a script called ACCA job web. What is doing, there's a I think the net is not working very well. So we can execute that script and see whether it is working or not. Until that time, that web page will be opened. I have not executed that step, and see that my script is getting information from the Karachi jobs page up to 10 pages because I have provided the rate for only 10. It's not working very well. And it is now fetching Lahore jobs. I have given 3 cities to fetch the information, and that is Islamabad. See, so that information is for the Karachi. I have fetched that part of the information and convert that into an Excel file. Now this is scanning and the data has been converted in the Excel format like that. As you have seen that 3 locations has been fetched, and if you want the QA auditor which we are seeing previously, if we click the link, we'll be headed so it's not responding. Okay, that link will take you to job page which I have shown you earlier. Okay, what that script has, it gathered the title of the position, location of position, salary if any, and who is the recruiter, and the link of the page of the job. So you can automate these scripts as well. Now I'm going to show you how Excel tasks, how can you perform automation with the Excels. Okay, now I have importing that library. I have a folder called, I have gathered a data set from the Kaggle, and this is the data sets I want to show you. And there's a stock files are there of Indian companies. Now what our first script will do, this is the folder where the different stock sheets are available. As you see that these are the tickers information, separate ticker information in separate sheets. So if we want to combine into one Excel file with all sheets in it, how can we do that? We can do that with this script. Basically, this script will read files in the data folder and replace the name of the file with stock this, and convert that remaining variable into the sheet name. So this is, I've executed that script, and now it will show that this data is being populated. The script is executing. How many files are there? There are 103 items 100 items, 100 sheets combining in one Excel sheet with the script. It will take a while because there are 100 sheets involved in the process. Now, the data is now populating. Okay. Now what this script has done has converted the individual sheets into one Excel file. This is the 100 Excel sheets that has been converted into one Excel file. Now, we can combine Excel sheets in an Excel file in one sheet. That means we can merge all the sheets in one Excel sheet. We can perform this by this script that uses the data we have just created, the stocks data. And when I execute that script, it will read the data frames. It will read all the sheets in data frame, and then the second function is the pd concat function. This will combine all the data frames into one data frame, and then we export that Excel file in the name of stock data one sheet with sheet name all stocks. Pandas is reading all the 100 sheets in one Excel file into a data frame, into 100 data frames. It is done. Now It is converting the in one sheet. Done. And that is the file. So what that script does, it combined all the sheets into one Excel sheet. That is 2,44,902 rows. If we see, these are the scripts. These are the 100 scripts that data has been populated into one Excel sheet. This script has converted the 100 sheets into one Excel sheet. Now, suppose that we have provided with that sheet and we want to convert that sheet and we want to convert one sheet into different sheets that we have earlier. As a case study, I'm showing you that how can one sheet can be converted with different sheets by performing the group by operation and the accelerated function. So what this script does, this take the recently one sheet converted file and then convert into and into the previous back position, that is stock data, in which different sheets are combined into one Excel sheet with the name stock data spreadsheet. I think there's a shortage of time, and I'll skip these two. Skip these two escapes as well because it will take a lot of time. I will show you that one. Where I have aggregated the data by year instead of stock and listings, which will include all these stocks. I will show you that one. Okay, the data has been converted. And we have now converted back from the one single sheet into different sheets, different tickers name. Okay, that can be done in that script. Now I want to show you how can you group by years as well. And this is the script. I will execute it. This will take the data from data stock one sheet and convert that and grouping that on the basis of yearly frequency. If I give the 7-day frequency, it will convert in 7 days. If I give them monthly frequency, it will convert it by month as well and the date as well. And rewriting that data in the stock by year, okay, and that is giving the sheet name by formatting the date time, formatting the only year, and sheet by year, that one. Excel, Python is performing operation that for loop. Okay, writer is saving the file. No, writer has saved the file. And you are now seeing that the data is being converted by year, where all the tickers are available in that. 100 tickers are available, and this has converted the data yearly, as you have seen that. Now there is another operation. If you want to concat all the sheets, I think I will skip that because it will take time. So back to the presentation. Now why pandas? I've shown you the automation, the repetitive tasks. Example, if you want to value your securities and you have to send that information to your superior, like that you have to calculate the devaluation reserve and send that information to your superior. You can achieve this operation by taking by coding on script in the pandas and scraping that information from the website, multiply that information with the ticker price to arrive at the fair value information, and fair value, compare fair value and cost, you will get the revaluation reserve. So different tasks can be automated from that part, from that perspective as well. It will perform also the ETL tools. It will also scrap and access database, data munging library, data wrangling library, migrate from the spreadsheet if you want. If you want to convert that 100 sheets, if your superior tells you that you have to convert that 100 sheets into one Excel file, I think it will take around 30 to 45 minutes to achieve that task, which Panda has performed only in 2 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes. So you can automate your repetitive tasks by analyzing your situation, analyzing your capability, and by investigating other libraries as well that can automate your work as well, like Win32, Win32, it will control the Outlook, spreadsheet, Excel, and Word operations quite easily and in the real time. I've discussed also the data visualization, the Seaborn plots. I've no, I have demonstrated you the Plotly library, which I have also demonstrated you in the time series analysis. I have demonstrated Panda, MPL Finance, and cufflinks with Plotly. This is what the SQL SSMS look like, and we are queuing the database. We are queuing directly from the database and converted the information into the Excel file and performing operations on the Excel file as well, on the data frame as well. And web scraping, we use in the web scraping we use the request library, and there's also another library called Beautiful Soup to gather the information from the ACCA web page to get the parameters, to get the variables value in the HTML pages. And I have demonstrated some Excel tasks that can be automated with the help of Pandas. So thank you. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mr. Kashnas. That is an amazing and quite a detailed presentation which you have done so far. So that's an amazing thing. Thanks a lot for taking out time and taking out this activity of enlightening the finance professionals what they can do in Python. So definitely, there are questions. There were certain questions in the chat as well. So let's do it in a same method. So first, the questions which were in the chat. So I will request Mr. Kashifnas to just enlighten us with those questions, and then I'll move to if there are any questions that the participants want to ask any question, right? So first, from the chat. So the first question which came is it is safe to use this software in any computer?
Yes,
Python and
it is basically it is an open source software, and open source softwares are never prone to any let's say malware or malware or something like viruses, because these all softwares are publicly available on the GitHub and on their website, and their source codes are also available, so you can check that source codes if you know the language. So there is no harm in using that error, and no harm in using the open source softwares.
great, thank you. Now the second is but which is definitely most of the professionals ask me in the LinkedIn as well. Why we use libraries?
Because Python has a specific framework and language pattern, because Python has also included Python also have standard libraries, but that standard library are not going to give you that power that Pandas has given you, that is the external libraries. Basically, these projects are set up by Python community as well. And if we include all the libraries in a language, then there are hundreds of libraries. So I think then Python, the installation file of Python will be in GBs as well. So if the need arises, there is a particular library to that information, to fetch that information or to solve that problem. We only download that library and perform that operations to solve our problems. So that's why there and different contributors are working on different projects as well, and they are enhancing the ecosystem of Python as well, to include other libraries as well. That is, there are other libraries that are converted from the R language to the Python for the use to the Pythonians, to the because the just like ggplot in the R library, R ggplot in the R language is quite popular in that, and we have and the same replica library that is available in the Python is plot9. So there are other libraries, and but as I've shown you, different libraries work different way, and different libraries work achieve different. If you want the static if you want the static charts, you use Matplotlib and Seaborn. If you want to use the interactive chart, then you use Plotly, and other bokeh library is also there for the interactive chart and the real-time data. And bokeh is the only library that can handle real-time data. If we put that real-time feed in the bokeh, it will generate real-time data and real-time charts as well. So this is the purpose of different libraries.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. So I hope it is answered. So there was one. The third question was around. Can you suggest any book for Python which is understandable for finance professionals? So there are too many books, but definitely which are
There
understandable for
are
finance
a lot of
professionals.
books. There are a lot of books, but I
So,
every book is written in a different perspective, because some books are written for the beginners, some of books are written for the programmers, some of books are written for the developers. So the basic, if you Google Python books, and you will came across with different books as well, and you can work with any books that is quite popular. I think the Python Crash Course second edition is quite popular, and Python with Dummies. There are different books available and you can search it, and you can download it, and you can purchase it to enhance your Python skills.
great. So there was another question that recently banks in Pakistan have adopted IFRS 9 for their reporting
Yeah.
purpose.
Okay.
Can Python be used for the calculation of IFRS 9? Its calculation is based on each transaction of bank borrowing.
It can be used. But the difficulty is that you have to program. You have to prepare a function for that. You have to prepare. You have to have extensive knowledge, because IFRS 9 providers are giving you the off-the-shelf software in which they are not giving you the scripts. They are not giving you how they are evaluating their information. And if you know that script, if you get hand-on with that script, you can replicate that script in the Pandas, and you can perform wonders with that. Anything is possible in Pandas, anything possible in because I have also given you that I've shown you that there are other libraries that tackles big data, that is Vex and Modern and Polars, that are quite remarkably fast as compared to Pandas, and they share the same API. What I have performed in Pandas is easily be performed in any of the that libraries.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So the answer is yes, it can be performed.
It can be performed if you get the hands-on on the parameters and the script.
Yes.
And the parameters on which you are evaluating your instruments or securities
Right.
and loans and advances.
So there was one more question, which definitely you have already demonstrated in the in your working benefit of using the Python over Excel. So you have performed that well. The automation of Excel, you have done that well. There is one more question, which definitely can we use Python in Power BI for data exploration and then visualize in Power BI? So
Yes, Python can be used as a visualization tool in conjunction with the Power BI, but Microsoft has supported only 2 to 3 libraries. That is, I've shown you that is Matplotlib and Seaborn is supported in the Power BI, and you can perform Seaborn violent plot. You can generate Seaborn violent plot in the Power BI as well.
yes. So please continue.
Yes, Microsoft has only supported Microsoft has supported Pandas library, Microsoft has supported Matplotlib library, and Microsoft has supported Seaborn library. If it adopted Plotly as well, you can generate what I've shown you, the interactive charts in the Power BI as well. It's
Yes,
up
yes,
it's up
yes,
to Microsoft.
yes. Definitely, you are right, and of course, in Power BI, you can have the visualization of using Python, but there are certain limitations. You have also taken that one, and there is some data limitation as well. I think the
Okay.
around
Yes.
250 MB of data can be used, and I think 150,000 rows can be used. I'm not sure, but I've read it somewhere else. So it is around 150,000 or something. So it can have a
Yes.
limitation of rows as well, but it can be used definitely. The
It
answer is
can be
yes.
used. It
Yes.
can be used.
Okay. So there is one more question was around there is an advantage of using Python over Excel in finance field. You have shown that one. There was one more thing. There was one question. Is there any specific path pattern to follow when we are giving a command?
Basically, you have to understand. Uh, uh, I have shown you only the pandas, but before that, you have to understand what is Python and how the syntax can be performed. So you can understand why I'm giving a code why I'm giving a variable in the code and in square bracket. So you have to understand before that Python basics. If you are going through with the basics, and which is quite achievable in a week, and you can understand what I'm writing in the pandas, and you can also perform that in just a matter of weeks only.
Great. So there's one more question. Can Python be used for financial modeling, for
Yes,
financial
yes.
forecasting?
Basically, it can be used in the different modeling as well. Like if you want to perform linear regression, it will do that. If you want to perform logarithmic regression, polynomial variables, quadratic variables, and anything these can be created in the machine learning part of the and there are a specific library for that, that is scikit-learn, which can be used as your machine learning tools, or which can be used as your modeling tool. Pandas is used to Panda is essentially used to munch the data to arrive at the data that can be fed into that libraries, because particular libraries are get information in particular data fields as well, and data types as well. Let's say scikit-learn is inspired through Numpy, and the data has to be converted from the data frame to the Numpy array in order to feed in the machine learning library. That is scikit-learn. So that can be achievable. You can also perform statistics on the stats library as well. Stats library will provide you all the p coefficient variants, all the correlation variant, everything. There's everything you can perform in the Python related to your modeling task.
Great. So some simple analysis like NPV, IRR,
Bilkul, exactly. They
payback
can be
period.
achievable.
These are kind of a very simple one as far as financial modeling. Once
Exactly.
you have financial modeling into your mind, so the end is kind of these things and the sensitivity analysis. So that can be done. It's a yes. Okay. So there's another question, right? And how the Python with a zero knowledge of programming, and how you can learn Python for data analysis and data visualization. So with a zero knowledge, how you can do that one. So that was one of the questions. So I think you can answer it
That have
in your
already
life.
answered. I have already answered it. Well, you have to understand the basics of Python, which can be achieved in a week or 2 weeks. and you can then you can then then work on the pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and that can be achievable in also 2 weeks to 3 weeks time. In a month, you are going to achieve you are going to perform basic operation tasks with your understanding and the visualization as well, and the
Great,
basic
great,
visualization.
great. Thanks a lot. So definitely it's a yes. And there is, so I'll just add on this one. There's a learning curve as well for each and every person.
Each and every
So
person, but
yes, so some persons can learn in a matter of weeks.
in
For
a matter
others
of
it
weeks, and
can months as well. So it depends. But there is a learning curve, but it is easy to learn. That's a good thing. Now the questions which were there in the comments, they are complete, and if they are so we have just 2 or 3 minutes left. So if any participant want to ask any question, I'll request them to just raise their hand and I'll allow you to ask your question if anyone is there with the, so I can just take 1 or 2 questions. And okay, so thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for Mr. Kashif Nas for
thank
giving such a detailed presentation. So there is just one thing which is remaining. So I'll just go over there. We will post this recording in our YouTube channel. So we have a YouTube channel over here, and you can just go over there, and once it will be posted by tomorrow. So you can analyze that one over there, and we have provided the link in the chat as well. So get in touch with Kashif Nas as well, our expert. Get in touch with me as well if you want to have any questions regarding Python. So we welcome all the participants on this one. Thank you all for your amazing participation, and thank you, Mr. Kashif Nas, for taking out time and giving this amazing detailed presentation on Python for finance. Thanks.